Petraglia Studios, the home of the Patriots, the Celts, the Revs, and the Bruins. Boston's home for sports is 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Patriots kick off their 2024 season in just a matter of hours as part of NFL week and the NFL's Week 1. The Patriots are in Cincinnati to face the Bengals. Kickoff at 1 o'clock. Pregame coverage begins at 10 right here on 98.5, the Sports Hub and the Patriots Radio Network. The Patriots have already ruled out starting guard City So for this game. Antonio Gibson, Vidarian Lowe, Joshua Uche, and Jabril Peppers are all questionable. Meanwhile, for the Bengals, both star receivers are game-time decisions. Jamar Chase, questionable with an illness, while T. Higgins is doubtful with a hamstring injury. Elsewhere in the NFL today, the highlight of the 1 o'clock window, the Colts and Texans in an AFC South matchup. At 4:25, the Cowboys visit the Browns. That game also marks Tom Brady's broadcasting debut with Fox. And tonight, the Rams visit the Detroit Lions. College football week 2 was yesterday highlighted by a major upset as unranked Northern Illinois goes into Notre Dame and knocks off the 5th-ranked Fighting Irish 16-14. Other notable results, number 3 Texas beat number 10 Michigan 31-12. Michigan falls to 0-2. Number 8 Penn State was on upset watch as well. They just survived against Ball State 34-27 in Happy Valley. And late last night, number 7 Oregon held on to beat Boise State 37-34. Locally, Bill O'Brien and Boston College knocked off Duquesne 56-0. And UConn beat Merrimack 63-17. The Red Sox beat the White Sox 7-5 last night at Fenway Park. Tyler O'Neill, 2 home runs in that one. That series wraps up today at 1:35. And the Revolution played St. Louis City SC to a 2-2 draw last night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Zoll Law Group. Many employees face unfair treatment, discrimination, and even wage theft by their employer. If this is happening to you, then you'd better call Zoll. The Zoll Law Group specializes in employment law. For a free consult, call 351-CALL-ZOLL. That's 351-CALL-SZAL or online at callzoll.com. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here, 98.5, the Sports Hub. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
We hit, we win. We put pressure, we win. We penetrate, we win.
Getting you ready for a long day of football coverage. The Pats, league news, betting lines, and game on. This is the show that has it all covered. Sunday Kickoff, brought to you by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Now, here are Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
Welcome to football season, everybody. Week 1 of the NFL, week 1 of the 2024 New England Patriots season. Kicking off in just a matter of hours, but we've still got plenty to get to between now and then. It's Alex Barth, it's Cerrone Battle, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, back for Season 2. As always, we'll get you ready for all things Patriots, Bengals, and around the league. We'll have Mike Petraglia from CLNS Media, who covers the Bengals, joining us at 8:35. We'll go around the NFL at 9 o'clock. We'll give our game picks at the end of the show, but you may figure them out as the show goes on. Cerrone, good morning, man. Welcome. Happy football season to you.
Good morning, man. I'm wide awake this Sunday.
Oh, this is the easiest show to get up for. Easiest show to get up for of the year. We go from the toughest one, which is after the draft, because usually I haven't actually slept, to this one where I'm raring and ready to go. It is a little bit of a bummer that it's not a home game. The last, I think it's like 5 of the last 6 years the Patriots have opened at home. So that definitely feels like a bit of a change. But they'll be on the road at the Bengals. And home or road, all eyes are on this new look offense. This entire offseason feels like revolves around not just last year, but the offensive struggles of the last few years. I think you could even say maybe going back to the end of the Tom Brady era.
Yeah.
And this offseason, all revolving around that. There is a new head coach in Gerard Mayo, but along with him comes a new offensive coordinator in Alex Van Pelt. He brings a new offensive philosophy. There is a new quarterback. There are 2 new quarterbacks. We'll see one of them today, at least one of them today, in Jacoby Brissett. Where are you at? We did all this talk, receivers, tackles, quarterbacks, scheme, the line, big picture, and then we'll narrow it down. Big picture, how do you feel about this offense here hours away from the first game of the year?
Man, it's kind of a weird, like, unknown thing. It's almost like the preseason, the training camp didn't happen at all. It's like we're seeing it all for the very first time. I understand it's hard to take away, what happens in preseason games or whatever, but I'm very curious to see formations, how they line up, the run-pass ratio, all that stuff. It's kind of like a complete unknown on both sides of the ball. I don't know. You kind of have no idea of what kind of style they're gonna kind of bring to the table this year. So from the opening snap, it's going to be, okay, how are they lined up? What kind of formation is this? Are they going to spread them out? Are they going to be 2 tight end sets? I'm just real curious to see how they approach the first drive of this first game of the season with this new coaching staff. Are they going to be conservative and, okay, we're not going to make no mistakes here. We're all nervous. Coaching staff's nervous. Players are nervous. Just kind of keep it. Are they going to keep it simple and simplify the opening of this game? So I'm just curious to see everything and see what their approach is, and if they live up to what we've heard Polk and some other players say, we're going to be a run first team. If they come out and try and punch Cincinnati in the mouth on the ground.
Yeah, this is one of the most fascinating stories for me today. I think Alex Van Pelt, a lot of Patriots fans were not happy with the performance of the offense in the preseason. Some of that fell on Van Pelt. I'm not saying that's entirely wrong, but you're not really running the offense yet. It's a very bare-bones, stripped-down version. There's no bells and whistles. And I actually think Alex Van Pelt did a good job this offseason in terms of the development of the quarterbacks. I think that's the one thing you can really judge him on to this point. And Drake May, and for what it's worth, Joe Milton too, both look much, much better mechanically, technically. And I think that there's real value in that. Yeah. But can he call plays? Can he script a game? Can he call plays? What does it look like what he designed? That's ultimately what's going to make or break his career here, because he's not going to leave and the mechanics fall apart. Hopefully, ideally. Like, the mechanics are learned. They're learned now. Can he call a play? And you really can't judge that. And I said, people were calling in the last few weeks, oh, well, Van Pelt, I don't know about the play calling. I don't know. You're right. We don't know. We're going to start to get an answer on that today. I think that's fascinating. The other fascinating thing for me today in this game as it relates to the offensive line. Already down at least one starter in City So. We'll see where Vidarian Lowe is at. Gerard Mayo said his progress this week is encouraging, but he was limited to practice throughout the week. That's your left guard and left tackle, and those are spots where you don't have a lot of depth. So Mike Onwenu already got kicked back out to tackle. There's probably going to be a rookie starting at right guard in Layden Robinson. Right away, this thing could be ugly, because one thing I tried to work into the conversations, Cerrone, as we were talking about who are the tackles, was saying, yeah, we don't necessarily know the starters. We don't know the backups either. There's not a lot of depth. Yeah. And that unit's going to get tested right away today against the Bengals front isn't great, but they can rush the passer off the edge. That's one thing they're very, very good at. And this group's going to be tested by that today.
Yeah, and one thing you can tell, I think everybody can tell, if anyone sat and watched the first 2 games of the season, the Thursday night and Friday night game, the offensive lines, even on good teams, aren't in sync yet. They didn't look. Nobody's offensive line looked great, early on in those first couple games. Philly kind of got it together late and was able to run the football and kind of protect Hurts a little bit, but both games, both sides kind of started off kind of sloppy, and those are good teams. So I was kind of concerned, like, man, what's this Patriots team going to look like? What's his offensive line going to look like if the good teams are struggling? Because like we've talked about in the past, has been talked 1,000 times, they don't practice as much as they used to. Offensive lines are suffering around the league because of it, whatever. But if the good teams' offensive lines look like that, I'm like, man, I hope this Patriot team doesn't get destroyed. Well, Cincinnati, too, on the other end, because they've had their quarterback go down. They've had offensive line issues for a couple years now. But I expect it to be kind of sloppy. But I want to see the rookie Robinson and see what he does in this situation. See if he's, somebody that comes up. If they run the football and they're running behind him, or if he's out there making plays, getting to the second level, making blocks. I wonder, not wonder, but will people change their perception on them addressing the offensive line in the draft or whatever? If these rookies are come in and step up and make big plays, or don't look bad in these situations, but actually come out there and look like they can hold up on an NFL field. So I'll be watching him, I think, more than any other guys on the line. The unknown rookies. Okay, let's see how he holds up in this ground game. Let's see if he's moving the chains. 3rd and 1, you need that. You need to get that first down. See if he's getting pushed back in the backfield or if he's the one doing the pushing. So I'm real curious about that part of the line, the ground game especially, and to see how, if they look sloppy to open the first couple series the way Baltimore and Philly and Green Bay have the last couple days.
And you mentioned the rookies. I think they're both going to get chances. Caden Wallace, just based on practice this week, doesn't seem like he'll start, but I think whatever group we see start the 5 guys that are out there for the first series, we might see them for most of the game. I don't think we're going to see them for the whole game.
Okay.
I think you're going to see them, and Gerard Mayo talked about this a little this week, so this isn't some, I'm not breaking any news here. And Bill used to do this, and other teams do this. You might see them mix and match some pieces and try some different combinations in this game. So Cade Wallace not starting, but he could get a shot, and I think if he plays well, that would be very encouraging. And yeah, Layden Robinson, the rookie, will get a shot too, I think.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a better combination for pass versus run? Like, okay, it's 3rd and long, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8. You think there's a different 5 that'll be out there for that situation as opposed to a 3rd and short type grouping? You know, are there certain guys better versus the pass than they are versus the run?
There's definitely different groupings like that have strengths and weaknesses. I just when I say they're going to rotate, I think it's just per drive. That's how they've done it in the past. That's how teams usually do it. I don't think you're going to see it. It would be interesting, but so much of offensive line plays continuity. So to get all right, it's 3rd and 8. Here comes the pass block offensive line.
Right, 2 more guys. Yeah.
Right now, it's you don't want a guy coming in cold on 3rd and 8. Even if maybe you get a little bit of an advantage there. So I think now what you might see is, let's say they force a turnover, or they just, there's a situation where they're clearly going to run the ball for a drive. Maybe at that beginning of a drive, you see a unit where, it's Mike Onwenu out there at tackle and Layden Robinson. Maybe they go to Nick Leverett at left guard. Whereas if you get in the 2-minute drill, maybe there's where Cade Wallace comes in, Mike Onwenu goes back to guard. You get that more pass block look. So you could tailor it like that, but I don't think you're going to see play-to-play switches.
Yep. Yeah, I got you.
Who are you looking for most among the pass catchers today?
Polk. I want to see Polk. I think he can be a real player in this league. I think he has real skills. Now I want to see him do it on Sundays. I want to see him do it when there's live action. I think he can be somebody that can help you move the chains along. And I mean, there's always Thornton's always the wild card. He's always the one you're like, man, what's he gonna give? He's gonna give me more than just a go route down the sidelines every now and then, an attempt at least, or is he gonna give you something underneath? Are they gonna get him in motion? Are they gonna move him around? We saw Kansas City use their young speedy receiver and, get him in motion, get him on the end around, and he scores. And you're like, man, we got a guy that can run 30 miles an hour too. Can we get him moving a little bit and get him in something other than just running go routes and getting predictable? But I think Polk is the main one I'll be watching and paying attention to, just to see if he can move the chains and keep drives alive on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and stuff like that. See if he can hold on to the football.
I'm with
Polk
you.
will be the one I'm watching.
Him being a consistent factor changes a lot this year in how you look at the offense, but he's got to do it, and we'll see starting today if he can do that. So that's kind of a quick look at the offense, but I actually, as much as we've talked about the offense all offseason, the defense may be the more interesting story today. And not just because of what they have going on, but because of what the Bengals have going on. We'll get to that next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub. Comment. 98.5, the Sports Hub Patriots Radio Network. The Pats, the Bengals. The new season begins on the station where you'll hear it all. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle are here. Talking football every Sunday morning with the insiders and with you. It's Sunday Kickoff on 98.5, the Sports Hub.
What do you mean by a high awareness?
Yeah, so when I talk about awareness, like the most important thing, starts with down and distance. What's the score in the game? Where's the quarterback? Where's the tight? Like who's in the game? Where are the big three on offense? Like those are the big keys, in my opinion.
You heard Gerard Mayo there talking earlier this week about the Bengals' big three. That is quarterback Joe Burrow, wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Where are the big three? Where will they be this week? Will they even be on the field? Burrow will be. He's coming back from that wrist injury last year. As for the other two, we'll see. And Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. We'll have Mike Petraglia coming up in the next segment to talk about the Bengals with us. Maybe he can answer some of these questions, but it sounds like, Cerrone, the Patriots may dodge one, if not both, of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So Chase hadn't practiced all summer. He was there. It was a hold in. He wants new contract. Return to practice this week was limited with rest. It's what was listed on the injury report, listed as questionable on Friday, and then yesterday they had an illness to his injury designation. Meanwhile, T. Higgins, who also wanted a new contract this offseason, got franchise tagged and was a full participant this summer, but wanted a long-term deal, didn't get one. He pops up on the injury report Thursday with a hamstring injury, and he is now doubtful. And I looked it up. Over 94% of players last year that were listed as doubtful did not play in the game that week. So Chase said he'll be a game-time decision. He was asked this week. He said he'll be a game-time decision, and that if he does play, he might be limited. Now, limited could mean 40 of 60 snaps. Limited could mean 10 of 60. And Higgins, it sounds like, isn't going to play. And does that change things for you? I guess let me ask you. The Bengals, I think, have a better roster, even maybe without those guys. But when you look at how some of the strengths of the Patriots line up with the weaknesses of the Bengals, even if it is Chase for, call it, 15 snaps and no Higgins, and that's just my personal guess, is Chase is going to be out there for 10 to 15 snaps, Higgins isn't going to play. Does that change the way you look at this game?
Oh, absolutely does. It takes away their big play ability. Well, that we know of. Joe Burrow can end up being one of those all-time great quarterbacks that elevates guys around him, so it doesn't matter who's on the field with him, and can make some of these other guys look great, at least for a game or quarter, or, okay, I need a big drive here. We're losing to the Patriots by 2. Go down, move downfield, get a field goal with guys you never really heard of. But this absolutely changes everything, because to me, the big play ability is gone. And I look at it as this is a Bengals team coming into the first game of the season, not just possibly without Chase and Higgins. It's the first time we're seeing them without Joe Mixon. So there's your key running back for the past few years is gone. Jamar Chase, Mixon, and it's just Burrow back there with, I wouldn't say unknown guys, but yeah, that changes everything for me. I think it just, you're in a situation now, okay, maybe we can make these guys march downfield. Maybe we can make them take their time and get a mistake, get some holding penalties or something to get the ball back. Maybe there'll be more opportunities for 3 and outs, get our offense more chances to score, short field, stuff like that. I think it changes everything and changes the identity of this team. And I looked it up a little while ago when Higgins went out last year for a few games. They went on a 3-game losing streak in 3 of the games that he was out. So they had their ups and downs last season, but a lot of it was due to injury. And I think catching this team probably down both of their receivers with the unknown ground game, I think is a good spot on the first game of the season where everybody's really not locked in anyway. I think this is a good chance for the Patriots to pounce.
So the Bengals are left with at receiver Andre. I've been struggling with this all week. I think it's Iosivas. They call him Yoshi.
Okay, close enough.
Who's their slot receiver. Trenton Irwin, Charlie Jones, and rookie Jermaine Burton. Now, Irwin had a good game against the Patriots when these teams played in 2022. Caught 3 passes for 45 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was kind of a red zone threat. Charlie Jones, chain mover. Burton's a big play threat. He had an up and down summer, so maybe we can ask Trags next up who kind of the guy to watch is from that group. They also have Mike Gesicki at tight end, former Patriot, and then Drew Sample, Tanner McLachlan, and Eric All kind of round out that room. If those guys don't play, if Chase and Higgins don't play, or when they're not on the field, and I certainly think there will at least be some snaps today where neither one is on the field, the biggest boost to me isn't even necessarily like, well, I guess it is. You're worried about those guys beating you. And I was very interested to see Christian Gonzalez against, I think it would have been T. Higgins. But, after the summer he had, a little disappointing, see how he stacks up. But the biggest change to me is the Patriots now have more ability to blitz and get aggressive because we talked about this last week, Cerrone. My biggest worry about the defense is the pass rush. Without Matthew Judon, Joshua Uche is your next best pass rusher. He's coming into this game banged up. O'Shane Zimenez is banged up. He was removed from the injury report, but he was limited this week at times. Keon White's still healthy. That's kind of the guy you're looking at to take the big jump, but a lot of unknowns. A lot of unknowns on that pass rush. And if you can start sending guys from the next level, that's going to be one of the ways the Patriots generate pressure this year. It's going to have to be line games up front and blitzing. They don't have that one guy that you can just count on to pin his ears back and go. You can't really blitz against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. You're asking for trouble if you do that when both those guys are on the field. So if one's out, it opens the door a little more. If they're both out, it opens the door quite a bit for the Patriots to get more aggressive in their pass rush, which they're going to need to do if they want to be competitive and win this game.
Yeah, and I think one thing that can absolutely help this defense out, and I think the reason you saw the sack totals and turnover totals kind of drop last season is they play from behind all year. So when you're playing from behind, you're in these different situations when it comes to passing, the pass defense, excuse me. If you got a lead and you're up second half, you're up 10 points or something like that. Now your edge rushers, Uches and the rest, and Keon White, whoever you have on the field at the time, now those guys aren't worried about the ground game. They're not worried about anything else. I'm getting after the quarterback. And the Patriots never really found themselves in those situations before. Last season. So I think this game, if you can find a way to get up on this team and get them in obvious passing situations, I think then you can be ultra aggressive and get after Burrow. And we've seen them struggle at times holding up against the pass with the Bengals offensive line. And the reason I was chuckling, this is a typical Patriots thing. Watch Mike Gesicki go out there and get 9 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. I could just smell it in the air. You can see it.
Well,
but
no, that'll be interesting because something the Patriots have struggled with in recent years is covering tight ends. Honestly, both these teams have. If you're, and I'm like, I am not a fantasy football guy. I'm not. I'm in one league this year, and it's only punters. So take this with a grain of salt. But the Bengals were the worst team in the league last year at covering tight ends. Like statistically, they allowed more catches to tight ends. I think it's the second most yards to tight ends, any team in the league. They added Geno Stone. They added Von Bell. They brought in some veteran safeties, but still, they struggled with tight ends last year. The Patriots have struggled with tight ends for a few years. I'm looking at Hunter Henry to have a big game today for the Patriots on offense. I think he could be an X factor. And then Mike Gesicki on the other side of the ball, like this could be a big day for the tight ends. It really could. One other thing I want to mention on the defense, Cerrone, and it kind of ties in. I'm really interested to see what Christian Gonzalez does today. I know I just kind of mentioned it, but I want to make a point of talking about it. I didn't think he had a bad summer. I just think the expectations based on what we saw from him last year were so significant. And, I mean, he looked fine. He looked like a fine starting corner, but they need him to be more than that if they're going to compete. And you heard all summer, he's a gamer. Like, when the lights come on, he'll show up. Now, maybe he doesn't have to face an elite receiver today, but all the more reason, if he doesn't, he should lock. You're looking for him to lock somebody down today.
Yeah, I mean, we expect him to not be just a good corner. We viewed him as a potential superstar, a potential star. There's not a lot of superstar corners and DBs like we've seen, decade ago, whatever. But to be one of the better ones in the league, we expect him to come out and not just be a good guy out there, but somebody who's making big plays, forcing turnovers, taking one to the house every now and then, or just creating more turnovers. I don't think they generated enough turnovers last year, and I think you need him to step up, and others too, to become a big play guy that can just change momentum of a game in a heartbeat. So I'm with you on that. I'm expecting him to not just be out there, but to hear his name called in a good way a lot today. And especially without those receivers, it's like, okay, you're the best guy out there when that ball's in the air. You have to show us that, against a team like the Bengals.
So we do have a little bit of an update on this. Jeremy Fowler 4 minutes ago on Twitter. Jamar Chase, questionable illness, woke up ill Saturday but felt better later in the day. And the Bengals have had him in the game plan this week per source. That can be adjusted if he sits, but those are a few encouraging signs. So maybe not dodging both of them. But even still, if Chase plays, I don't know how much he plays.
Yeah.
So it still seems like the Patriots will get at least some snaps in this game without Jamar Chase or T. Higgins on the field. And Chase was questionable. He was listed as questionable coming in with rest, which was essentially them saying he might hold out. He might not play in this game because of his contract. And then that illness thing was added yesterday. T. Higgins, doubtful with a hamstring injury. Last year, at least by the numbers I could find, 94% of players listed as doubtful did not play in the game. In week one, against this opponent from the Bengals' point of view, you could understand maybe if T. Higgins doesn't play in this one, so something to watch. 617-779-0985. You want to join us here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Up next, Mike Petraglia. He's going to help us answer some of these questions. Bengals writer Mike Petraglia here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is
Week 1 opening day is here, and I'm happy for it and happy to try and get rid of some of the drama anyway.
So we'll get the drama stuff out of the way before we get to the matchup. How about that? The latest on Jamar Chase from Jeremy Fowler about 10 minutes ago. Chase woke up ill Saturday, but felt better later in the day. The Bengals had him in the game plan this week. That can be adjusted if he sits, but those are encouraging signs. He's still questionable. T. Higgins doubtful with a hamstring injury. What is the latest? What can you tell us about the status of the Bengals' 2-star receivers?
Okay, so I do not expect T. Higgins to play today at all. They activated Kendrick Pryor off the practice squad yesterday. As far as Jamar Chase, they had to put some type of designation on him, and that designation was illness on Saturday. We don't know if he's ill or not, of course. He very well may be ill. But the Bengals had to have some type of injury designation to list him as questionable, because you can't be questionable with rest. That's just not, allowed by the NFL, and understandably so. So I do believe Jamar Chase will play today. I think he'll play, depending on the game and how it evolves, anywhere between 30 to 50 snaps.
Who do you see on this team stepping up in the absence of Higgins, or if Chase, in the times where Chase isn't on the field, who has a real potential here to step up and be a big play guy for them today?
Andre Yosivas, the second-year player out of Princeton. They love him, and they think he could be a really impact guy in the slot to eventually take the place of Tyler Boyd and the targets that Tyler Boyd once got in this offense. But I think Yosivas is somebody who certainly Joe Burrow is comfortable relying on to a certain degree, maybe 10 to 12 targets in this game. They really like the way Yosivas has come along. Charlie Jones is another second-year player. He's more of a specialist, but certainly he has been involved in the offense in the preseason. He got a limited number of targets last year, so he is another player. Mike Gesicki, the tight end. We may find out right away just how much the former Patriot tight end has picked up his chemistry with Joe Burrow, because they're going to probably have to rely on him to run some, slot routes as well if they have Yosivas taking the place of T. Higgins in the offense.
Now, normally when a team's down receivers and, or T. Higgins out, we think Chase will be limited, at least won't play the full game. You talk about leaning on the run game. New look run game, though, for the Bengals. No Joe Mixon. Zach Moss is in with Chase Brown, who's entering, I believe, his second year, right? Could the Bengals lean on the run game today? Are they still going to be pass heavy? What might that run game look like?
I think, again, Alex, depending on how this game evolves, I think they could really rely on the run game. And I love Chase Brown. I love what he brings to this offense. He brings an explosiveness and a burst that has not been there with Joe Mixon the last couple of years. And a lot of Bengal fans on the outside and a lot of people internally became frustrated with the fact that Joe Mixon would get what was blocked and nothing more. I think with Chase Brown, there's the potential for a burst. Also with Zach Moss, they love him in pass protection, and he could also be a big factor today. But to answer your question, yes, I think the run game could be a factor today. I think the Bengals want to know and find out early in this season, do they have a run game?
So you talk a lot about the Bengals finding things out in this game. You mentioned Yoshi, the slot receiver, the running back, and naturally some of that's week one. But is there an element of just where the Patriots are at as a team? The Bengals maybe come into this game a little more experimental?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I think the Bengals are about the Bengals today. They have so much stuff going on, and they need to sort things out. And I think regardless of who they would be playing today, they need to find out early in the season what they have. Understand that Burrow and the offense has played exactly one series together in the preseason. Yeah, they had joint practices with the Bears and the Colts, and they looked okay, but nobody knows if that's going to translate into games. I think we're going to find out pretty early on where their comfort level is with the offense based on what they decide to do in this first game, opening week.
And real quick, speaking of Burrow, how do you think he responds to live fire and real action coming off, season-ending surgery with his wrist and stuff like that? How do you think he responds to if he starts getting hit or falling, bracing himself when he goes to the ground, stuff like that? If he gets out and scrambles, how do you think Burrow coming off that injury affects his play early on in the season?
That is a $64 million question. And even he has wondered how he's going to respond to that first time that he takes a lick or has to, like you said, brace himself with a fall. How is that wrist going to handle? He doesn't know because that's not something in all of this rehab in the off season you work on. You don't necessarily, not that we know of or not that he's acknowledged, you don't work on falling on your wrist. And that's one thing he is going to have to get a feel for it literally early on in this game. I'm sure the Patriots and every other team are going to be targeting that right hand and right wrist. I would if I were an opposing defensive coordinator. I'd say make sure you get on Burrow, and if you get close to him, target that hand and see how he responds. We don't know, like if he throws over the middle, quarterbacks all the time hit the helmet of an oncoming lineman or their own lineman. So how does he handle that? And we'll have to watch the game and see how it unfolds to really find out the answer to that.
Again, we're talking to Mike Petraglia. He covers the Bengals for CLNSCincy.com, hosts the Jungle Roar podcast. On the other side of the ball, the Patriots dealing with some injuries on the offensive line. They may have both backups at left tackle and at left guard. What is going to be the biggest challenge the Bengals front poses to the Patriots offensive line?
Well, I will tell you that Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson being healthy, that's, to me, if I'm the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, Alex Van Pelt, I know that you have to contain them and account for them is probably the better way of putting it. Account for them on every single snap that they are on the field. Simply because they are game wreckers, especially Trey Hendrickson. Joseph Osai is somebody who's got a high motor and is healthy for the first time in his 4-year career. He's someone else I keep a close eye on. And KJ Henry, keep an eye on him as well on the outside. He was picked up late, right before the season started. And he is someone who could spell Joseph Osai or Trey Hendrickson, on the edge. But guys, I'm telling you right now, the Bengals have to be ready for the Patriots to try and run it down their throat. That's what Gerard Mayo is going to do. And if I'm the Bengals and I'm Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, I start 8 in the box and then say, okay, Jacoby, you got man-to-man on the outside. Go beat us.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that because the Bengals, their run defense wasn't the best last season. Do you think they can be had, though? Do you think this, even with the guys you just mentioned with this front, do you think the Patriots can keep Burrow on the sidelines and wherever he has a receiver? Do you think they have a legit opportunity here to not only run the ball against Cincinnati, but come out of this with a victory?
If they stay out of 3rd and long and 2nd and long, yes, this game can be close. Look, Gerard Mayo is the new coach, but you are going to see, and I wrote this on CLNSCincy.com, you are going to still see a lot of the old Bill Belichick ways. Beat them up, control the line of scrimmage, run the ball when you don't have the competitive personnel advantage. Run the ball and stay out of long gain situations. And if you can do that and shorten the game, keep Burrow off the field, that was the way Belichick would always beat Peyton Manning. And it would frustrate the heck out of teams like Peyton Manning and the Colts. And I think you apply that same strategy here against the Bengals.
Trags, before we let you go, anything you think is important in this matchup fans should know that maybe we didn't get to?
Well, I just think, besides the obvious, the turnover battle, the Bengals have to show that they can take a punch from Gerard Mayo's Patriots. Gerard Mayo is going to come. How many times did we hear during the week that this is going to be won in the trenches? It's going to be won at the line of scrimmage. That's what you have to look for if you're the Bengals, and that's what they're going to have to answer early on in this game.
Mike Petraglia, Trags on Twitter. You can read him at clnscincy.com and the Jungle Roar podcast. He'll have updates in Cincinnati during the game as well today. Trags, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Guys, I really enjoyed it. Enjoy the season.
You too.
You too.
Again, Mike Petraglia, clnscincy.com. A lot of you know him. He worked here in Boston and covered all Boston teams for, I think, like 20-something years. So he was here during that whole run, and then he left, and look, Cincinnati started winning. So maybe we got to get him back here. 617-779-0985. You want to join us? You want to touch on anything Trag said, anything about this matchup? We'll continue next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. and for a chance to score a pair of tickets to next week's home opener. All courtesy of Bud Light. You've got to be at least 21 plus to participate. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. It's never too early to talk football on Sunday.
Coming to the game on Sunday.
This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, 619-779-0985. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Ryan Beaton behind the glass. We are back here on Sunday Kickoff. Cerrone, any reactions to what Trags gave us there? Good. We're gonna post the quote on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff Twitter at Sun Kickoff 98.5 about the updates on Chase and Higgins. It sounds like maybe Chase does play in this game a little bit. Maybe he does.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if he does, I still think him limited or Chase without Higgins. Now, I think you're going to see, even if let's say if he plays the whole game, you're going to see more coverages rolled his way, kind of double team him. You're going to see them be able to play him differently when you don't have a potential Pro Bowl guy on the opposite side or a playmaker on the opposite side that they know of right now. Like you said, one of those other guys could step up and light you up and wreck your whole game plan. But I think early on, even if Chase is out there, you're going to say, you know what? Yeah, he hasn't practiced. He hasn't gone through training camp and all this other stuff. Maybe he's not ready. The timing's not there or whatever. But I would look at it and say, well, he's fresh, though. He hasn't taken any beatings. He's not burning himself out. He can beat us on a big play a couple times. So I'm rolling coverages his way. I'm trying to take him out of it even when he's on the field and treat the other guys like he said with the Patriots. Okay, you're going to have to show us. You're going to have to prove to me that you can beat us and make us roll this coverage away from Chase. But if he's out there, I'm treating him like he is the only star out there, and I'm blanket coverage around him the whole time. I wouldn't let him do anything. And as far as their defense, yeah, I do think they will put 8 in the box and force the Patriots to throw the football. And that goes back to your first part we started the show.
Yep.
I want to see if Polk and these guys can beat man coverage, make a guy miss and make a big play, make them get out of what they want to do. And now that opens it up for Ramondre Stevenson and the rest of these backs. Guys we really haven't talked about all summer, it seems like. When no one's talking about Stevenson, who's probably the best player on the team. No one mentions his name. But I think if they can find a way to get those guys out of that 8-man front, you can see Stevenson and the rest of the backs have a pretty decent day.
On Chase and the coverage element of it, I had Trags on the Sports Hub Patriots podcast this week. We broke down the game a little more. If people want to check that out on the Sports Hub YouTube page or wherever you get your podcasts, he mentioned that Chase really doesn't like cloud coverage. So that's something that becomes a little easier to do without Higgins on the field. One other element of this game, so we talked offense, we talked defense. Special teams, absolutely something to watch. Absolutely something to watch in this game because the new kickoff rule. We're going to see that for the first time, at least for the Patriots. The season opener, pretty much, I think it was 6 of 8 kickoffs were touchbacks. Another one had a penalty, so they just didn't want to deal with it. A little more of the same in the Friday night game, but then you had the Packers run a kick out like 7 yards deep into their end zone with 20 seconds to go. I have no idea why they did that. Of all the kickoffs, that's the one you run out. But if somebody can figure out a twist, an edge, whatever it is, they're going to have whatever team figures that out is going to have an advantage early in this season. And we know the Patriots need kind of every edge they can get. So I'll be very interested to see how they approach the kickoff and kick return. Are they just going to knock touchbacks like we've seen teams do kind of start, or are they going to put the ball in play? And then on the return, if they get a chance, do they have any designs? Look, I think a lot of teams are just taking the touchback at this point. To me, the NFL is going to need to move the touchback up to the 40-yard line. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that at some point, but maybe the Patriots have a wrinkle there today before we get to the expanded touchback.
Yeah, and I think a part of it, those first few games, are probably going to see a lot of today. A lot of teams just kicking it because I don't think they put enough time into it. I don't think they dedicated enough time in training camp for these new kickoff rules. And it's like, well, we'll get to that later. But in the meantime, just keep kicking touchbacks and as we get through the season and work on those wrinkles you're talking about, work on these different strategies. And who's going to be the first team to tell their kicker, you know what, just drop that thing right on the one. See if you can. Force them to come out. and see if we could force some turnovers, some big plays that way. Kind of, risk reward thing. Let's force him to come out. See if we can get him in a situation to where he's only on the 15, or he puts the ball in this guy. It's pouring rain. I want him to come out. I want them to run the ball and see if he can fumble it and put them in those situations. So I think it'll evolve as time goes on. I see a lot of people complaining about, it's not working. They're still kicking it. It's like, well, if they didn't change anything, they'd still be kicking it in the end zone. So what's there to complain about? So I think the element is still there for, like you said, some coaches or somebody either on the kicking side of it or the return side to put some wrinkles into this thing and really utilize it.
40-yard touchback, the sooner we get that, the better. All right.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of rookies on the field today for the Patriots, and there's going to be a lot of players who were rookies last year, and you'll see kind of the difference there because you do some things as a rookie that you learn don't work. Last year was our rookie year on the show, and one thing I learned was that when we do the game picks, especially when there's no buys, the segment usually takes a little bit longer than it should. So we're going to take a little bit of an early headline here, and then we'll come back around the NFL. We're back with it, Game Picks with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. 90 seconds, no commercials here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, the Patriots.
Into the end zone.
Here.
Touchdown for the Patriots.
WBC FM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Patriots kick off their 2024 season this afternoon as part of the NFL's Week 1 slate. Pats are in Cincinnati to face the Bengals. 1 o'clock kickoff with pregame coverage beginning at 10 right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub and the Patriots Radio Network. The Patriots have already rolled out starting guard City So for this game with an ankle injury. Antonio Gibson, Vidarian Lowe, Joshua Uche, and Jabril Peppers are all questionable. Meanwhile, for the Bengals, their star receivers will be game-time decisions. Jamar Chase is questionable with an illness, although there was a report this morning from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that he has felt better since that illness was initially added to the report. Meanwhile, T. Higgins is doubtful with a hamstring injury. Other notable NFL games today. Big game in the 1 o'clock window has the Texans at the Colts in an AFC South battle. In the 4 o'clock window, the Cowboys visit the Browns. That game will mark the broadcasting debut for Tom Brady on Fox. And tonight, the Rams visit the Detroit Lions. College football week 2 was yesterday, and it had a major upset with Northern Illinois going into South Bend and knocking off number 5 Notre Dame 16-14. Elsewhere on the slate, number 3 Texas beat number 10 Michigan 31-12. Michigan is now 0-2 on the season. Number 8 Penn State held on to beat Ball State 34-27. Number 7 Oregon held on to beat Boise State 37-34 locally. BC, Bill O'Brien 2-0 now after beating Duquesne 56-0. The Red Sox beat the White Sox 7-5 last night at Fenway Park. Tyler O'Neill 2 home runs in that one. That series wraps up today at 1:35. And the New England Revolution played St. Louis City SC to a 2-2 draw last night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Zoll Law Group. Many employees face unfair treatment, discrimination, and even wage theft by their employer. If this is happening to you, then you'd better call Zoll. The Zoll Law Group specializes in employment law. For a free consult, call 351-CALL-ZOLL. That's 351-CALL-SZAL. Online at callzoll.com. I'm Alex Barth. I'm Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update during Patriots pregame.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app.
He begins the approach with a run-up and a swing right leg.
Every football game starts with a kickoff. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your home for Patriots football. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Pick a target.
You pick it.
Take your pick.
Pick me. Pick me.
I did not pick. There was no pick.
Pick him up. You pick him up.
Pick.
I pick.
Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Pick the teams.
Pick one, jerk.
Week 1, full slate, 16 games. Well, 14 to pick because they're starting early. But we do this every week here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. If you are new, we go through And, we picked the games like the open said. But let's start off with the two that already happened. Quick reaction. And we start with the season opener where the Chiefs took on the Ravens.
We're happy with the win now, and you got to wear white cleats next time. That's my advice for him.
Yeah, he's right. Ravens win 27-20 as Isaiah Likely toe out back of the end zone. More important than the white cleats, though, Lamar's got to hit that throw to Zay Flowers the play before. I thought he had a great game up until that point, but really struggled there at the end in the red zone.
Yeah, he's got to make that play, and also Flowers, I think, has to sit down. I think he has to sit and stop right there instead of drifting toward the defense. But that's the difference between being, the elite of elite quarterbacks and all-time greats. Mahomes makes that play, makes that throw no matter who the receiver is, and Jackson just misses it. It's literally that's the difference between the all-time greats and everybody else. They just don't make those plays the greats do.
Meanwhile, Harbaugh was ready to go for two, so Chiefs probably would have won anyway. Let's move over to the new Friday night opener, which I hate. One game on Thursday, then Sunday. I'm good. I don't need Friday night. I had much more fun with Duke Northwestern. But Friday night, the Bengals took on the Eagles in Brazil.
Do you agree with LeBron? He said that the field sucks.
I'm not going to use those words, but y'all saw out there that it was kind of rough to get traction.
Yeah, the field wasn't good. The camera angle wasn't good. None of it was good. I guess it was good for the Eagles. They won 34-29, but I'm good with Brazil. I'm good with the Friday night opener in general. It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, it seemed like to me, though, in the second half, whatever adjustments Philadelphia made when it came to the cleats and holding their footing, they figured it out before Green Bay did. And they started to run the football. They started to move the ball, get traction. Guys getting open on third down, shaking guys loose. They figured it out before Green Bay did. And for Packers fans complaining about the field, you dominated 40 years of football with a bad football field and used it to your advantage. So I don't want to hear that now.
Well, so there you go. The first two games of the NFL season decided by which cleats the teams were wearing. So shout out to equipment managers everywhere. All right, let's get into today's slate. We start off with the Falcons at the Steelers.
We do not care.
What was that?
That was Tomlin from a few years back.
Okay. The Falcons start off the Kirk Cousins era 3.5-point favorites at home. I've said the Steelers could be sneaky bad this year. Could be top 5 pick territory. I think Tomlin's streak of over 500 seasons ends. Give me the Atlanta Falcons to cover.
Yeah, I got Atlanta in this game, and I think Atlanta kind of makes a statement in this game. I think they put everybody on notice, so I think Atlanta wins this one in a blowout.
All right, first AFC East matchup has the Cardinals AFC East team has the Cardinals at the Bills.
I had a box Chippewa cookies at my locker. And it was great. The Chippewa cookies I was like, huh? I didn't get it. I was like, I thought I was tripping. I wasn't expecting no cookies at my locker.
The Chewy Chips Ahoy cookies are the way to go.
Yes, it.
I can demolish an entire box of those. It's not pretty, but I'll put them all down. Those things are a problem. Bills, still a problem, apparently, even though they lost all that talent in the offseason. They're 6.5-point favorites. Cardinals, another team that could be in that top 5 pick race.
Yeah, I think this is more about the Cardinals being bad than Buffalo being good. I think, and you got the Cardinals flying up to Buffalo, 1 o'clock game. West Coast teams coming east, it never really works out well. And they have the best player on the field, Josh Allen. I know you don't want to hear that, Alex, but they have the best
Diggs
player.
Isn't there anymore, so now he probably is the best player on their offense. I'll give you that.
Hey, I got Buffalo in this one, and I don't think it'd be really close.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, Caleb Williams time in Chicago.
I'm not going to say a single word about the Tennessee Titans record against the Indianapolis Colts. We did not punt much against the Tennessee Titans, so you probably have no clue who I am to begin.
That's McAfee taunting Titans fans. That's who the Bears and Caleb Williams will face in his first start. And the rookie favorited, 3.5-point favorites, the Bears at home.
Yeah, give me the Bears in this one. I think it kind of got like the college schedule. You get the FCS team to start the season off. And I think the Bears kind of come out and I think they lay it on the Titans in this one. They better not lose this game because then the sky is going to be falling if they lose to the Titans today.
All right, we've been talking Patriots Bengals a lot, so we'll get to that more after this. But I'll tell you that 8.5 points, at least whenever Ryan printed this, is the largest spread of the week. Let's go to the AFC South where the Texans take on Pat McAfee's Colts.
This is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue. Go Colts.
Oh my God.
That's gonna be a thing all year, isn't it? That's just gonna be the Colts sounder all year. The Texans, first road favorite of the week, 3.5-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, Texans. I think the Texans will get this one and get it in a good way. I still don't know about the Colts. I don't know about Richardson. I'm not sure about anything with this team, but I am sure about the Texans and that offense, that quarterback, and I think the Texans win this one in a blowout.
You know what? I'm going to take the Colts. I'm going to take the Colts to at least cover at home. I've been hyping up Anthony Richardson all offseason. I've pointed to the Colts as my surprise team, saying, like, well, if Richardson hits, and I don't know if he'll hit, but I feel like I can't say that all offseason and then take the Texans. Go against the Colts as home dogs in week 1. So give me the Colts there. All right, one more AFC South team on the slate. That's the Jaguars in-state matchup against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, you know what it do. Black and teal, black and teal, black and teal, black and teal.
Dolphins 3.5-point favorites at home, Cerrone.
It's a good game. That should be a pretty entertaining game. I'll give the Dolphins the edge being at, well, I guess, yeah, they're at home. I give them the edge in that one. I think it should be an interesting game, and Trevor Lawrence has to show something in this game, no matter if they lose. He still has to show up in this one.
I'm going to take the Jaguars. I'll tell you why. Under Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins are 5-10 against teams that finish 500 or better. I think the Jaguars are at least a 500 team now. Yeah. They may not win like 12, 13 games like some people think, but this is a 500 team. Mike McDaniel usually doesn't beat those teams. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars to at least cover the 3.5 here.
Yeah.
And they're one of the few teams, too, that going to Miami isn't impacted by the heat because they're in Jacksonville. They're used to it. Staying in the 1 o'clock window here in the NFC, we have the Panthers at the Saints.
Oh, man, I really and truly, man, I don't even think I'm country, man. That's what a lot of folks like to say. I think I'll speak regular.
Man, I wanted Xavier to get here just for the sound bites.
Yeah.
That guy's electric to not even just the accent, like the way he talks. He's just he's got a way about him.
That's
good soundbite.
Yeah, the way he talks is just. I have relatives from that area, so he just sounds like every cousin I have in South Carolina. I understand every word he's saying, but I got Carolina. I got Carolina in this one. I got a feeling the Saints are in full tank mode and have no interest in winning any more games this season. So I think they're in rebuild stage. Give me Carolina in this one.
Carolina's plus 4.5 on the road. I'm with you. I don't know if they win, but one, I just think division games are close. Two, I think these two teams are close. These are two of the worst teams in football. Saints might win, but I 4.5. I think the Panthers cover again. It's just that might be the worst game of the week.
Yeah, it is.
That's a tough matchup. All right, last game of the 1 o'clock window here has the Vikings visiting the Giants.
Just got a text that Chicago's driving the price up and Philly's out. I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm going to have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that. He's the most popular player we have by far.
And maybe should have paid him. That was from Hard Knocks, the Giants. Without Saquon, they're 1.5-point underdogs at home. I'm taking the Vikings, even with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think the Vikings have big play capabilities on that team. I think they have some guys that get out and do just enough to give them the W against the Giants. And I think the Giants will be a little better this year, but I don't think enough to beat this team, beat Minnesota today. So give me Minnesota.
All right, into the 4 o'clock window. 4 o'clock games on the slate, including this game between the Ravens and the Chargers that has the lowest total of the week.
How are you feeling with the team this year?
We're not going to the Super Bowl. I already know it.
We got a realistic Raiders fan here. This is odd.
Oh, I thought that was a Chargers fan. He'd be right either way. Chargers 3.5-point favorites at home. The total 40.5. And this is two dome teams. Two dome teams playing inside in a game that includes Justin Herbert with a 40.5 total. I think that tells you a lot about where these two teams are at. And I think I said Chargers 3.5-point favorites.
Man, give me Vegas in this one. Give me Vegas. I got a feeling the Chargers are going to be real bad.
I'm with you.
But I think they're going to be bad. I mean, they got Harbaugh and Hurd, but I think they're going to be bad. Give me Vegas in this one. I think they're coming off that energy the way they finished the season last year and going to be flying to the ball. I think they make enough plays to beat Chargers today.
My hot take, and this is like real hot take, is that Harbaugh will be one and done with the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
And, losing week 1 kind of starts that process. How do you like that 40.5?
Yeah, I think that tells you a lot about these two teams. No one trusts their offenses at all. So, yeah, I can see that.
All right, let's go out west where the Broncos take on the Seahawks.
Russell Wilson extends the hands he has. Wilson, quick throw. And it's intercepted. Butler has it at the 1.
Yeah, can we still call this the Russell Wilson Bowl, even though he's not on either of these teams? Also, you got a Super Bowl rematch in here with the Broncos and the Seahawks. Some ties with the coaching staffs as well and things like that. Seattle 6.5-point favorite at home.
I don't think they're that good to be 6.5-point favorites over anybody. Be honest with you. I don't see it. I mean, I got them winning the game, but I think 6.5 is a little high for this team. I'm not buying into them, but I do have Seattle today.
I think the Broncos could be really bad. I think the Broncos are bad enough to be 6.5-point dogs, especially on the road where Bo Nix historically in college struggled. I think the game being in Seattle makes a difference here.
It's a loud arena.
I will take the Seahawks minus 6.5 in that one. All right, Cowboys at Browns.
Obviously super excited. There's a little anxiousness, a couple-year journey, but I think the thing that's most exciting for me is getting back to NFL football, being up here in the booth.
Browns 2.5-point favorites. I'll take the Cowboys, not the points, Cerrone. You can give your pick, but what are your thoughts heading into Brady's first game in the booth?
This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a highly rated game. Cowboys game in the first place. Brady, Cowboys. Brady breaking down Dak Prescott's mistakes is going to be awesome, but give me the Cowboys in this one. But I do think the Browns are going to be a pretty decent team if their quarterback situation, if he stays healthy. But I think the Browns are going to be pretty good.
The last game of the 4 o'clock window, Jaden Daniels' debut as the Commanders head down to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Those haters can't stand us. Left hand up. Who are we?
The Commanders.
Yeah, the Colts guy, by the way, total copycat. And I know that Commanders song was like by the team and not a fan, but Left Hand Up is the original ridiculous fan song. Left hand down, though. Give me the Bucs to cover 3.5.
Yeah, this one, I want to see Washington win this game. I want to see Jaden Daniels kind of show out. I think they need it. I think it'd be good for the league. But, yeah, not yet. I think Tampa's defense gets after him, and I think Tampa gets this. Give me Tampa to cover this game as well.
I think as a whole, the Bucs take a little bit of a step back from where they were last year, but I still think they win this game, and they'll be in the mix to win that division. Tonight, highest total of the week between the Rams and the Lions.
It could be worse, though. At least we're not Detroit. We're not Detroit.
52 is the total. The Lions 4.5-point favorites. Last time we saw them, embarrassing loss for Dan Campbell's team in the NFC Championship. Do they bounce back here, Cerrone, against the Rams?
Yeah, I think they do. I'm not buying big on the Rams this year, but I think Detroit's a good team. I think they're good enough to win the Super Bowl, so I think they get off to a hot start like they did last year. I think Detroit gives this one in a big way.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they bounce back. I'm also just not that high on the Rams. I'm not.
Neither.
Stafford's a year older. Puka Nacua was it a one-year wonder thing? Also, like, big picture, Stafford has to stay healthy. Their backup is Jimmy Garoppolo, which means like 2 weeks after you lose Stafford, Stetson Bennett's going to be your starting quarterback. So I'm not high there. And then Monday night, Aaron Rodgers returns as the Jets visit the San Francisco 49ers.
How much psychedelic use is in the NFL? How many guys are using psychedelics?
I don't know. I mean, I talked recently about my own ayahuasca journey.
Sure. Way to go, guy. Niners 4.5-point favorites.
Give me the Jets.
Oh.
I think the Jets go on there and show everybody that Cerrone is right and they're going to win the AFC.
So
give me the Jets in San Francisco.
The Niners are the best roster in football. The heat has turned all the way up on Kyle Shanahan after he choked away another Super Bowl. They just had a pain in the butt offseason with Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams. There is a lot of frustration to be taken out if you are the San Francisco 49ers. I think they take it out on the Jets. The total is 43.5. I think it's a high-ish scoring game. But I think a lot of that's the Niners. I think the Niners actually roll to a win there. All right. So week 1 slate, no buys. We disagreed on 1, 2, 3, 4 games. 4 games of the 14 we picked. So we'll see. That was the Jets, Niners, Broncos, Seahawks, Colts, Texans, and Jaguars and Dolphins.
Yeah, look, man, I think the Jets the Jets really – I think they're a good team, man. I think when they're all healthy, pass game, ground game, they have the receivers. If Mike Williams is Mike Williams, I think they're going to be a hard team to beat, man. I think they're a good enough defensive team. We all know that. But I think they're going to be a tough out, man, and a hard team to beat this year.
All right, the one game we didn't really break down there because we've been doing it for an hour, and we'll do it for another 20 minutes coming up, Patriots, Bengals. If the Patriots are going to make this close, if they're going to pull off the win, how do they do it? What specific element of the game do they need to dominate? We'll get into that next. Plus, if you want to give us a call, 617-779-0985 as we move on here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Common.
It's electric.
You need an electrician? Call Common Electric.
Yeah, I think we have to go out there and really be able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think we need to, play well on special teams as well. But it's about the line of scrimmage. It's about controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the game. They have a high-powered team. They have a high-powered offense, and I think the defense is aggressive because they know they have a high-powered offense, in my opinion. So, those guys on defense, they fly around. They do a lot of good things, and, don't forget about special teams. Those guys play very aggressive, and we have to be able to combat that.
You heard Gerard Mayo there set the tone. That's how he started the week. Talked about dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And it's Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle with you, by the way. Sports Up Sunday Kickoff, 617-779-0985. It's just hitting me now, Ryan Beaton, that, this is real. It's week one, because when we do the show in the spring, which that was probably last, 10, 12 episodes we did, we're just here on a Saturday morning, and the next show comes in at, 9:50, 9:55. Sometimes, Ryan, you produce the next show, I think, right? You'd stick around. But we got, Jeremy Conley's here, Kevin Majori's here.
There's going to be a lot of Patriots crossover with the radio team because a lot of 1 o'clock games.
Right, we're starting to see the whole crew roll in. There's energy here. There's buzz. So we didn't have this in the spring, when we did those shows. So it's starting to feel real. But back to what Gerard Mayo said. And by the way, the Patriots pregame starts right after us at 10 o'clock, leading up to the call at 1. And then we'll have Leroy Irvin and Joe Murray on postgame. So no need to touch the dial today. Zero reason to do it. You're already here. Leave it here. We'll get you through the full day of Patriots. You heard Gerard Mayo there in the clip. Dominating the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. That's what they need to do. Controlling the line of scrimmage. This is a Bengals team that struggled last year against the run. They can rush the pass from the edge, and that might be the Patriots' biggest weakness, but the Patriots might have an advantage on the interior. They can't win this game today, I think, Cerrone, without taking advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the forgotten, not just forgotten man, forgotten group man is this Patriot running backs.
Yep.
I think they have themselves a day, win or lose. I think they're going to be aggressive. I think you're going to see, I know Gibson was on the injury report, but hopefully I think he's going to play today, so Gibson out there gives you a guy on third down that you can run those screen passes. You can throw those swing passes too. I think you're going to see, Brissett get a lot of targets to those running backs. And I do think you see them running it straight ahead a lot today. And I know that's not exciting to the newer football fan, but that's old school football. And I think that's going to be the way they play, not only for today, but I think for most of the season. I think you're going to see them line up and try and run the football and stick to it. I think that's going to be the key. We talk about the whole with Drake made Brissett. How long can they stick to this plan before they say, we got to switch it up? I think the same thing with this ground game. How long can you stick with it? Can you play good enough defense to keep the score low enough to where you can still run the football and have a chance to win this game? And I think Ramondre Stevenson and Gibson have themselves a day today in running the football and catching the ball. So I think they have a big day. Look, Cincinnati, when it comes to the trenches, they couldn't run the ball last year and they couldn't stop the run. They struggled to get 100 yards rushing. They struggled to keep teams under 120 yards rushing. So I think you can attack this team, both sides in the trenches, and I think that's what has to happen. And I agree with Mayo, and I think that's a formula for them to steal this game today.
And then they got to hang on the edge. So I know you put in the rundown for the week, your three things where they had an advantage and what you were most worried about. To me, it's especially with the Chase and Higgins stuff. And that's another spot, by the way. The Patriots have to win. You can't get beat by Trenton Irwin in this game.
No.
You can't get beat by Charlie Jones in this game. You can't get beat by Yoshivas in this game. Who am I missing? Jermaine Burton, Mike Gesicki. You can't. They're going to get theirs. You can't get beat by those guys in this game. But the thing I'm most worried about for the Patriots, Trey Hendrickson, 17.5 sacks last year. Sam Hubbard on the other side is no scrub either. This is a team that's going to be in a backup left tackle most likely. Their right tackle is a right guard. They're going to have a rookie at right guard. They're going to have a backup left tackle. I'm worried about them protecting the edge when they drop back to throw the ball. I think you got to limit the number of true dropbacks you have in this game, and that means play action, designed rollouts, quick hitters, screens, RPOs. But the only way to do that sustainably and this goes back to the first point, Cerrone, to your point, you have to stay on schedule. You have to stay ahead of the sticks. What 2nd and 8, you lose the ability to do some of that more creative stuff. You kind of have to just go 3-step drop, 5-step drop, and if you know you're not going to have a true pocket, it limits your play calling. So the most effective way, I think, for them to handle these guys on the edge, they're probably going to have tight ends and running backs chip, and they'll have some help, and maybe keep 6 or even 7 guys in and only send 3 or 4 out in the pattern. But you got to stay ahead of schedule. You have to, and that has been a big problem for this team in recent years, Cerrone, and this is something I'm looking for Alex Van Pelt to change. How many times the last few years, 1st and 10, 1-yard run, drive's over. Right, just an inability to
holding call or something like that.
Get on schedule, stay on schedule. Right. Formational penalties. Big one. If the refs tell you're too far back, you're too far back. And I'm not saying it's a good rule. I'm not saying I like how they're enforcing it. I don't.
It's a rule.
But they're going to do it. And complaining about it's not going to change anything. Ignoring it's not going to change anything. Move up. Move your butt up. And that's that's a league-wide thing. I was yelling that at the TVs Thursday night, Friday night. But the Patriots have to stay on schedule, stay ahead of the chains if they want a chance in this game and if they want to upset that Bengals pass rush.
Yeah, you have to eliminate the self-inflicted wounds. You can't have the holding penalties, hands to the face, false starts, delay of games. You have to avoid all those type of things. Your offense isn't good enough to overcome that stuff. We saw Baltimore get called for stuff over and over again. They still went downfield, scored a touchdown. You're not good enough to overcome that. Not yet anyway. So you have to eliminate those self-inflicted wounds. And if you get yourself in situations, like you said, man, if it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, okay, you're lining up a shotgun, but you got a good draw game because edge rushers are flying up trying to get the percent. But now with a guy like Gibson, you can run a draw, something to get you 2 or 3 yards to get that first down. But you have to keep it 3rd and short. Anything, like you said, man, if it's 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, you're clicking over the red zone and seeing what's happening. You know the punt is coming right after this. Or even if that's a situation, though, I'd rather them to be punting than bad interceptions, trying to force a throw, strip sacks, fumbles, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. Just, okay, if it's not there, throw it into the ground, dump it off, get a 6-yard gain, punt the football. Play that type of game. You can't turn the ball over and try and be a hero with this team. And I think that will go a long way to keeping this game close. No hero ball here today.
617-779-0985. You want to join us? What if the Patriots win this game? What if? Just what if? What if they win? Let's have a little fun with that one next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub. sports. Boston sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub. You're listening to Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your station for the best football coverage. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
I said this last night. Just think if they can steal one here, for whatever reason. Cincinnati's not ready. They start slow. The Cleveland coaches here have their number somehow. Burrow's coming off the wrist or elbow. What is it?
Wrist.
The Pats are in shape. Whatever. They steal one. Like 2-0's on the table. I don't have the Patriots winning very many games, but the home Seattle game is one of them. Like, don't you like?
Yeah, sure.
That sort of flips the narrative, and
that would be more winnable than many of the others. If they got out of September at 2-2, it's a miracle.
I'm just day at a time. I'm week at a time. I'm thinking steal this one.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle. How about Mike Felger rallying the troops? Mike Felger defending the wall. Could the Patriots start 2-0? Look, I'm with them on the Seattle game. I don't think that team's a team in transition. It's a West Coast team coming east.
Yeah.
I think that's their second most winnable game of the year. I have the Chargers game late in the season because the Chargers coming here is always a mess for them. But that Seahawks game is one of the most winnable games of the year for them.
I think so too. And losing Bobby Wagner, losing Pete Carroll, I don't think you just automatically get better or stay the same when you lose that kind of locker room presence for coaching and player. I don't think you and coming East Coast on 1:00 game. I don't think that helps them at all.
And now you have the Bengals. It seems like down at least one of their top weapons, maybe down another. We heard Mike Petraglia talk about it earlier, and if you missed any of that interview, you can catch it. Either we post the show as a podcast, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. We posted that answer itself on @SunKickoff985 on Twitter, X, and then we also have the show on YouTube. You can rewind and find it. So the Bengals are going to be down at least one, if not both, their receivers. Joe Burrow, we don't know. He doesn't even really know where he's at. It's a team that the Bengals are better than the Patriots, but the Patriots' strengths line up really well with the Bengals' weaknesses. 2-0 is a possibility. I don't know that I'd put a mortgage on it, right? But it's certainly on the table. And the one thing I really agree with Felger, boy, would that be great for this team. Would that be great for Gerard Mayo as he starts out his coaching career? And for a team and a fan base that you already have people talking about tanking. A year after they had the third overall pick. You don't tank back-to-back years. This isn't
was the tank year.
Right. This isn't Major League Baseball. You're not the Houston Astros. And that's not me saying they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. And they shouldn't have an approach on the long term. But you never, ever, ever want losing to become habitual. You don't want that. And also, you start 2-0, gives you a little more leash with Drake May. Allows you to take your time with him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's not totally out there. Which, for all the doom and gloom of the offseason, is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, look, the season's short. This is not an NBA, MLB type season where, 2 wins is big. You start the season, 2-2 or whatever. Okay, you got Seattle and the Jets after that. But I've been saying this for weeks now. We always look at the schedule in August or whatever and say, oh, no, that's tough. This is going to be tough. Injuries happen weekly, daily in practice. Your schedule changes in a heartbeat. And if you could steal too early against teams, this in September, you're looking at some of those games down the line. Yeah, you got some tough ones coming up. You got your division games. But then when you got the Colts later on, you got Arizona, those type games. Some of those teams are going to be looking to lose by the time you get to October, November. So you can steal some later. But stealing games early is a big deal. And getting wins for this head coach, for this team, changing the morale of this locker room, I think would go a long way. And if they win these 2 games and they look good doing it, it changes the mindset of the players in that locker room. Or just, I'd be looking at crazy. I look ahead at the future. If you're a T. Higgins, who will be coming up next year.
Right.
And you watch the Patriots come in there and dog walk you on your home field, and they're just a big play receiver away. You're like, wait a minute now. Okay. Maybe I will take their phone call next summer. Yeah, I look at little things like that, but winning games early is never a bad thing for a team, and I think they're in a good position to steal these first 2 games of the season.
I don't think that's a little thing, Cerrone. I think that's what this whole season is all about.
Yeah.
I think this whole season is about showing progress and getting buy-in. 1, from the guys in the locker room and starting to build that culture. And 2, showing guys elsewhere in the league that this is a place you want to come, that they're building something here and you want to get on board and be a part of it. There were reports that, and I know I don't want to do the whole guaranteed money contract thing, but there were reports that at least part of the reason Brandon Ayuk didn't sign here was he didn't want to come here was he didn't believe in the quarterback situation. And frankly, I don't blame him. I don't
blame him at all. Yeah,
I like Drake May, but he's not enough to bank my entire career on it, right?
Yeah,
he's an unknown. So if you show something, if you start winning, Drake May sees how to win. He starts putting things on tape. You mentioned maybe T. Higgins remembers this when he hits the market if the Patriots beat them.
And
maybe DK Metcalf, Seattle
next
loses.
week, right?
Right, things start circling the drain there. He's looking at it thinking, well, I'm going to need a new contract in a year anyway, basically doing what Ayuk did this year. Well, I'm going to need a new contract in a year anyway. Do I really want to be here in Seattle? So, no, I think this season is all about proving you're better than what the consensus national narrative is right now. I think that's what this season's all about.
I guarantee you, Metcalf, T. Higgins, and some other receivers that are going to come available next year, their agents showed them Albert Breer talking on 98.5 about the money they offered Brandon Ayuk. Hey, these guys are willing to pay this dude this amount of money. They're willing to spend in New England. So you have that come out this week, that the amount of money they're willing to give to a receiver, you're a free agent. And if you get a field view of this team and they look better than your current situation, like, wait a minute, they'll pay me? They're better than where I'm at now. They got this young quarterback coming in next year. Maybe I can be that guy. So, yeah, it's like you said, it's an audition for everybody else. We're trying to showcase this team and try and change our view around the league when it comes to the players. So, yeah, winning these 2 games or even just being in them, looking like a team, I think goes a long way for this team.
And now we're just, to be clear, there's no guarantee any of this happens, right? Like they could just as easily come out, the offensive line is brutal, and they get their doors blown off.
Yeah.
But the point I guess I'm trying to make is the point, and I think you've kind of alluded to this too, Cerrone. Like the NFL changes like that.
Yep.
Right. And what seemed like nobody had them going to Cincinnati week 1 and winning, and then the 2 best players, one gets hurt, and the other one's dealing with. They're both really dealing with contract things. So you never know, but if for Gerard Mayo specifically and for this coaching staff, the NFL is about capitalizing on opportunities. You have an opportunity here today to steal a game. You are going up against a weakened opponent. This is a really good test for Gerard Mayo and the coaching staff. This is a game that they are in position to steal. Can they steal it?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the big point we're trying to make here. Will they steal it? Is another question. Let's answer that next. Game picks as we wrap up the first Sports Hub Sunday kickoff of the regular season. Up next here on the Sports Hub.
More Sunday kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Owen. It's football.
Then they go right into the game call with Bob and Zoe out in Cincinnati. And then it's Joe Murray and Leroy Irvin tonight on postgame, or this afternoon on postgame, to wrap things up. So no need, zero need to touch the dial today. We are all Patriots all day through the end of this week 1 matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals. If you missed any of this show and you want to go back and check it out before the game starts, you can find it on the Sports Hub YouTube page. We'll also have the podcasts up momentarily once we wrap up here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff podcast feed. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts at Sun Kickoff 98.5 on Twitter as well. All right, Cerrone. Can they do it? Can they pull it off? Can the Patriots start 1-0? Or is this season getting started on the foot we all think it is?
As much as I talked about the things where they can capitalize, I haven't seen them do it yet. And when it comes down to it, they have the best player on the field in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. At the end of the day, they have the guy who we all trust to make the least amount of mistakes. Most NFL games are close. They're tight. They come down to a play or two here or there. And I don't know if Brissett can avoid that mistake or that play and play a kind of a flawless game where they can steal this game. So I got the Patriots losing a close one, 24-21. I think they come up a play short, a turnover short in this one. But I think they show well enough to where we'll feel a lot better about them playing Seattle next week. But I think they come up a play, a field goal, or a penalty, something short in this game today on the road to Cincinnati. I give Cincinnati 24-21.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I look at that last matchup they had in 22, where the Patriots played them well for most of it. But at the end of the day, the Patriots don't have the playmakers. They don't have the X factors that the Bengals do. Even without Chase or Higgins, one, obviously at the quarterback position, Joe Burrow is an X factor. He's a player to change the game, who can change the game. But they have some guys on defense, a guy like Trey Hendrickson, a guy like Von Bell at the safety position. These are guys that can make plays and change the game. So I think whether it's that or just, you mentioned penalties. I think it could be a long day for penalties, especially with this new alignment rule. I just go back to the offensive line, and this is going to be a common theme all year. I just worry about the offensive line, and particularly the tackles, giving them the ability to operate a full offense. And I kind of talked about this before. If the Patriots are going to win this game, they have to stay ahead of schedule and stay ahead of the sticks. You can't have second and long in this game and win. You can't have first down penalties, 1st and 15s. I remember a couple of years ago, this stat just always stands out to me. The Patriots had the longest average distance to go on first down in the NFL. And obviously everybody's 1st and 10, but when you factor in the 1st and 15s and things like that, it actually adds up, 1st and 20s. And you can't have that.
Yeah.
They have to stay ahead of the sticks. They have to be able to run the football. They have to be able to upset the timing of the pass rush, and they need the play actions, the rollouts, the RPOs, the draws to be available to them. That's not, I mean, you can still run that stuff on 2nd and long. You still run that stuff on 3rd and long.
Not as effective.
But, the success rate is much, much, much lower. And I'm not talking analytics success rate. I just mean, do you pick up the yards you need to pick up? Do you pick up a first down? They have to stay ahead of schedule in this game. I worry about the offensive line's ability to allow them to do that. And then on defense, Joe Burrow got in a rhythm against them in that game in 2022. I think he only had 3 incompletions in the first half. And I worry if their pass rush, if they're not scheming up pressure, if they're not able to blitz, and that's part of, staying ahead of schedule on defense and getting them in obvious passing situations. If they're not able to blitz, I worry about their ability to generate enough pressure to the point where Burrow can just sit back in the pocket, get comfortable, get in a rhythm, and pick them apart, even if he is throwing the lesser receivers.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that like I said, at the end of it, they have the best player. They still have the better quarterback. That usually gets you a W in this league. And, until I see them actually do it, I'll have a whole different perspective on this team. Either way, once I see them play a full game.
Right.
But I think today I have to give the edge to Cincinnati. Not a huge edge. Not if they were 100% healthy and we were 5 weeks into the season. We know who the Bengals are. I think it'd be a wider gap. But I think it's going to be close enough. But I think Cincinnati, Joe Burrow makes that one play. It could be a 3rd and 8 or something like conversion and burn time. Something like nothing magical. But I think Brissett, trying to prove he belongs, I think he forces some plays here or there that is going to come back and burn this team later in the game. So I got Cincinnati in a close one by a field goal, 24-21. But I am looking forward to seeing the Patriots running attack. Stevenson and Gibson. And I want to see what Tyquan Thornton does. I'm real interested in that, but always with him. But, yeah, I got Cincinnati in the tight one.
I think the Patriots cover. I just, it's week 1, 8.5 points in a week 1 game to me that's a lot. And that tells you kind of what people think about the Patriots. I will give you this. If the Patriots do really make this a game, or if they do win, my X factor is Hunter Henry. 2 reasons. One,
we didn't talk about him. Yeah.
If they win, he's definitely helping in terms of chipping it, and he's not going to, block Trey Hendrickson the whole game, but he's helping in that regard. And the Bengals last year were the worst team at covering tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
If they're going to really make a game of this, I think Hunter Henry has to have a big day. Real quick, do you have an X factor, Cerrone?
Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson. I think he has he has big playability. He's the kind of guy that he can get big plays after contact. I think he's the one guy that can take looks like a 2-3 yard play gain, and then, there he goes, 20, 25, 30 yards down the sidelines. I think he's key to this whole game. And I think he's key to their offense. We haven't talked about him all summer. And I think he's the one guy that if he gets going, it changes everything on that offense. I think Stevenson is the X factor.
So again, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. You missed any of the show, you want to go back and check it out. We're on YouTube on the Sports Hub YouTube page. You can also find Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to follow us on Twitter as well at Sun Kickoff 98.5. We're doing this every week, not just through the season, through the draft. We're back season 2. So make sure to tune in 8 a.m. every Sunday. We have Patriots pregame coming up next with Jim Murray and Chris Gasper. They are standing by. Bob and Zoe have the call in Cincinnati, and then it's Joe Murray and Leroy Irvin tonight. We made it. Football is back. And now we see what kind of season are the Patriots going to give us. Ryan Beaton, great job as always behind the glass. I will have coverage along with Matt Dolph on 98.5thesportshub.com. Pre-game, post-game, you can check it out there. There'll be a new Sports Hub Patriots podcast tomorrow. Reacting to the game, you can find that wherever you get your podcasts on the Sports Hub Patriots audio feed. You can follow me on Twitter as well at Real Alex Barth. He is Cerrone Battle at Cerrone_Battle. We'll be back until next week. Everybody enjoy the game. Enjoy the full week 1 slate. Welcome to football season. Talk to you next time. Bye.
It's an all-new season for the Patriots.
Wow.
And you'll hear it all right here.
Yes.
Your home of the past. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. This is Patriots Preview, driven by the all-electric Honda Prologue.
Jones to backpedal, right side of the 16, stab left, ran it right, down the sideline, to the 40, to the 50, to the left side to the 45, beats the punter to the 35-30, Marcus Jones down the middle to the 10,